it back, nation. What is good? DJ Eastwood here. Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros. Hit the like button on the stream. Subscribe to the channel if you're brand new, or if you've been watching these streams, videos, etc., and you're not subscribed. 50% of people that watch this are not subscribed to the channel. Just hit the little red button, man. What did I ever do to you? Don't I deserve that? Come on, man. Shout out to Alex C. with the highest donation to the channel of all time. Thank you, sir. I'm going to leave that on the screen until somebody tops it. And consider becoming a member of the channel. $5 a month gets you badges, custom emotes in the chat, custom... what else does it get you, man? We're going to do members-only live streams. Once we hit 100 members, we're at 40-some members right now. And we're going to start to do monthly membership giveaways. So all of the members of the channel will be entered into a monthly giveaway. You know, it might be a jersey. It might be something else. You never know. So consider becoming a member for $5 a month. Yeah, let's get into the stuff, man. Okay. Shout out to everybody in here, man. Kane Scott, Lil Boy, Blue Jabbar, Wright, Shane Butler, William G, Bentley Cruz, Pope Platinum Beats, Jim O'Donnell, Bentley Cruz, I already said that. You know Eli. Who else is in here? Jim O'Donnell, Guapo, Umut Gul, Mo Bamba, Lucci with the test comment. Thank you for that. All right, let's get started, man. So the stuff that came out yesterday that I didn't get to hit on because I was paying some bills. Like I said before, man, all the stuff that comes out, if it doesn't come from Woj, I don't want to hear it. People sending me stuff from WIPradio.com. Like, are you kidding me, man? Are you serious? You know what I mean? So yesterday, Woj puts out a tweet. The only person I want to see putting out a tweet that has any type of merit is Woj, okay? So here he is. ESPN sources... The Sacramento Kings, one of the most aggressive teams in the market and once an eager suitor for Philadelphia's Ben Simmons, have ended pursuit of a deal with the 76ers and turned elsewhere in trade talks. Story soon. Then he goes on to say, inside of 2 weeks until the February 10th NBA trade deadline, the Kings believe the asking price for Simmons is too steep. You don't say. Is too steep. And that pathway to reaching an agreement with the Sixers doesn't exist. How do I get my thoughts out on this, okay? I just want to say I am losing hope that anything is going to happen before the trade deadline because it continues. Daryl Morey continues to ask way too much for Ben Simmons, and the Kings rumor was him attaching Tobias Harris to the deal. And the problem with this is you're asking a team to take on $350 million for two players, one of who quit on the franchise, refuses to come back, and is barely an all-star in the first place. The other one is an insanely overpaid role player. You're asking a team to take two max contracts that does not include a superstar. Okay? You're asking them to give you players in return, and the kicker that probably kills all of these negotiations is you're asking them for first-round draft picks on top of it. It's insanity. It's absolute insanity. You're the one that's going to have to throw in draft picks if you want a team to take this stuff. It's ridiculous. But maybe I could be a little bit positive here, okay? The trade deadline's looming. I've said before, Daryl Morey's not going to jump and take something before February 10th. Maybe he's still playing a game. Maybe his price comes down as we get closer to the trade deadline. An interesting thing that Woj said yesterday on ESPN, which I don't know where he got this information from, is that Joel Embiid, Daryl Morey has the support of Joel Embiid. That's what he said. I don't know who told him that. I mean, he's the inside guy. He knows more than all of us know about what's going on behind the scenes. Woj is rarely ever wrong. He said Daryl Morey has the support of Joel Embiid. Joel never comments on any of this stuff, of course, and it's because he's a stand-up guy and he's not going to get involved in the backstage tea, as the kids say, right? But if he was that frustrated with the situation, with how he's been playing this season and the supporting cast and the fact that everybody basically knows that the Ben Simmons trade is what's holding up the team. We are two and a half games out of first place, which is absolutely insane for the lack of talent that's on this roster, and that just tells you how amazing Joel Embiid has been this season. But Woj said Daryl Morey has the support of Joel Embiid. I don't know where he heard that. I don't know who told him that, but, who knows? Maybe Daryl Morey and Joel Embiid have had conversations. Well, I'm sure they have conversations all the time. Joel Embiid's the man of this franchise. Joel Embiid's the face of this franchise. Everybody knows that. I'm sure the ownership group and Daryl Morey and everybody else talks to Joel Embiid on a regular basis, because the last thing you want is your superstar, your MVP candidate, your top 3 NBA player is to be upset. The last thing you want is to piss him off. So I'm sure they communicate with him on a regular basis. So you haven't heard anything on the negative side, so I guess we got to assume Joel Embiid supports it. Maybe they're telling Joel, hey, listen, man, there's not a whole lot available right now. Do you think that Tyrese Halliburton and Harrison Barnes are going to help you get to a championship more than Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris? I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I'm so stuck in the middle of this whole thing, and that's why I think Daryl Morey has a tough job to do in this situation, because there's not a whole lot available right now. And in the offseason, this is where I'm at now. I'm convinced that we're going to wait till the offseason. I'm convinced of it. Yes, that is wasting an MVP level season for Joel Embiid, but I am convinced that Daryl Morey is going to wait till the offseason. It just is what it is, because as you get closer, as the season wraps up, teams are going to fall flat on their face. Teams are going to flop. Teams are going to miss the playoffs. Teams that are overrated, or teams that think they have a chance, are going to get knocked out of the first round. Teams that are bad right now are going to miss the playoffs for the third time in 4 years. Cough, cough, Washington Wizards. Teams are going to be more disgruntled. Players are going to be more disgruntled. Superstar players are potentially more going to want out of the situation when the season ends than they are right now. So I would love for this team to improve at the trade deadline, but my opinion doesn't matter. And yours doesn't either. The only thing that matters is, what is Daryl Morey going to do? So I'm convinced now that he's just not going to take a package of a couple of young Kings players and some picks, which they turned down anyway. He's not going to take that when he thinks that the biggest thing available is going to be right when the season ends in the offseason. I don't know if it's specifically James Harden that he's looking for. The Wizards are bad right now too, after having a decent first half of the season. Bradley Beal might want out. There's just going to be more opportunity in the offseason. Joel Embiid was just on a CNN thing talking about soccer, but they asked him about the Sixers season and his season and everything like that. And he said he has 10 more years of this. Now, look, is Joel Embiid going to play till he's 38? No. I don't see Joel Embiid playing until he's 38. What 7-footer ever played at an MVP level until he was 38 years old? Probably nobody ever, right? I think Joel Embiid maybe has 5 more years of this level of play. Maybe less than that. This level of play. I think if Joel Embiid can stay healthy and continues to improve his playmaking ability and things like that, he might have that many years left in the NBA. But the MVP level of play, how many years does Joel Embiid have left? But I think Daryl Morey is going to be more patient than we as fans are being. And he's going to wait till the offseason, and this just confirms it. Or another side of it could be the Sacramento Kings are like, oh, you want to play hardball? Daryl Morey, we're out. We're out. Maybe the Kings are trying to be tough, trying to play Kings don't have any leverage. You guys are god awful. Your players don't even want to be there anymore. You have no culture. You have no locker room, like, camaraderie. You have nothing going in Sacramento at all. And you're sitting here trying to tell us the Kings have turned elsewhere in trade talk. You're trying to tell us that you're going to take a difference. What else are you going to get? Seriously. What are you going to get that's better than a 25-year-old with the intangibles of a Ben Simmons? Yeah, he has a lot of things attached to him. He has a lot of baggage, but you take the good with the bad, right? If you're the Kings right now, trading for Ben Simmons is like me dating a supermodel, who's a psychopath, right? She's a supermodel. She's super hot. She might stab me in my sleep, but I'm like a 6 out of 10 at best. You got to take what you can get. That might be the worst analogy I've come up with on this show since it existed. But I think the Kings are in no position to play hardball like this, and I think they're just frustrated, and they're trying to, like, push back. And as the trade deadline approaches, I mean, it's not like there's an official, like, trade application. It's not like the Kings, like, withdrew their application. Hey, we were in there. We want to withdraw our application. We're done. We're out. Yeah, right. The last hour of the trade of February 10th, they could be like, all right, we'll give you this. You know what I mean? So who knows? But it's not like they're officially out. They're leaking stuff to play hardball the same way Daryl Morey's leaking stuff to play hardball. It's a bunch of behind-the-scenes BS, a bunch of rich people arguing, and we are the brunt of it, It's basically like politics. It's basically like a bunch of politicians arguing over how much money they should spend on a war or some shit like that, and all the poor people that are actually struggling are not getting anything out of it. That's us and NBA GMs and NBA ownerships. I don't know what I'm on today, man. All right, listen. Moving on, but not necessarily moving on, just adding fuel to the kicking me while I'm down is Daryl Morey, right? Report this. It just gets funnier, actually, because it's just. You see how confused I am? You see how torn you see how much I'm struggling here? Because I'm on both sides of it. There's teams that should want the potential to build around a player like Ben Simmons. There's plenty of reasons why teams shouldn't want Ben Simmons. And then I'm sitting here like, Ben Simmons is not a superstar. The 76ers made an offer of Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris for John Collins, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and 3 first-round picks. Now, hold up. Now, the Atlanta Hawks are like, hold up a second. Would I love to pair Trae Young and Ben Simmons? Absolutely. And this, listen, the fact that Daryl made this offer is interesting to me, too, because the Atlanta's not as good as they should be. Atlanta's definitely not as good as they thought they were when they knocked us out of the playoffs last year. So maybe Atlanta's interested in actually pairing those two. Pairing Ben Simmons and Trae Young is honestly like a perfect pairing, if you ask me. You get a big, like, point forward, one of the best defensive players in the game who's a facilitator, and then you get the perfect pairing to Ben Simmons, which I've been saying for years you need to put next to Ben Simmons, is a combo scoring guard who can run the half court when he can't, when he has to stand in the corner or under the basket because he's a fraud. I think that's a perfect pairing. So maybe Atlanta is interested in Ben Simmons, but they're not going to give up this. Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris. Okay, again, you're asking a team to take on $350 million, and they're not getting a superstar out of it. You're asking a team to take on Tobias Harris in the first place, which is the worst contract in the NBA, a 16-point-per-game scorer making $35 million a year. Are you out of your mind? You're asking a team to take on those 2 contracts, and in return, you give us a prototypical, pretty much perfect stretch 4 in John Collins, who shoots 40% from the three-point line, who's athletic. I mean, that's a serious upgrade over Tobias Harris, right? I don't know how he fits with Joel Embiid specifically, but it's a serious upgrade over Tobias Harris. And you give us your best three-point shooter. That's already too much for a team to consider taking on $350 million in salary, giving up a stretch four and their best three-point shooter, and 3 first-round picks. Who's going to say yes to this, Daryl? Who's going to say yes to this? Rob. John Collins is not an upgrade over Tobias. They're basically the same guy. I could not disagree more. John Collins is a billion times more athletic than Tobias Harris. He's not a ball stopper because he's not an ISO kind of guy. And he's actually a better three-point shooter than Tobias Harris, shoots a higher percentage and shoots more threes per game. John Collins is much a serious upgrade over Tobias Harris. And he's not making $180 million a year. But you're also asking for 3 first-round picks at the same time. It just doesn't make sense. I don't get it. I don't know what Daryl Morey's on. I don't know what he's smoking. But maybe he's just playing games until the trade deadline. But if you erase these 3 first-round picks, if you erase these right here, delete that. Delete. Highlight. Delete, Daryl. Highlight, backspace. Okay? Get rid of the 3 first-round picks, and somehow the money works in this situation, and Atlanta says yes to Ben, Tobias for John Collins and Bogdanovich. I might take that. Because guess what? Now you got 2 players that can help your team. You got a starting level stretch 4 that's not making $180 million. That's not a ball stopper that doesn't, do what Tobias Harris does on a nightly basis. He's been good the past 2 games, but let's not overrate him now. You know what I mean? You get a 3-point shooter, and you clear up all of that cap space moving into the offseason. Now you have all of that to work with in the offseason. And guess what? If James Harden wants out and they don't do a sign and trade, you can sign him as a free agent. If Bradley Beal wants out and they don't do a sign and trade, you can sign him in the offseason. So that's why I'm saying if you make a move at the trade deadline, it doesn't have to be for a superstar because you're clearing up all of that cap space. So you could improve the team, make a run this year, clear up all that cap space, and have all that money to sign the James Harden or whoever you're obsessed with in the offseason. I mean, the perfect scenario is clearly like going through all of this, going to the end of the season and ending up with James Harden, John Collins, and Boban Bogdanovich around Joel Embiid. Like, the supporting cast that Joel Embiid has right now is not very good. That's an upgrade. It's a serious upgrade if you land James Harden or Bradley Beal in the offseason. But listen, no matter what I want, I don't think Daryl Morey's going to make any move until the offseason, until he's absolutely certain that he can't get James Harden or Bradley Beal. He's not making a move. It is what it is. I agree with you guys that are disagreeing in the comments. I agree it's not worth it. I agree it's too risky to sit and wait. You could add both. But boy, I agree with that. You could add both, and that John Collins and DeJounte Murray center any dream package for Simmons. Yes. DeJounte Murray. Speaking of DeJounte Murray, last night he had a 29 point, almost a 29-point triple-double. 29 points, 12 assists, and 9 rebounds. The dude's had 2 30-point triple-doubles in the past 5 games. DeJounte Murray is not being talked about enough. And as long as the Spurs continue to be bad, that's going to be one of the things that I look out for, one of the teams that I look out for, because the Spurs have said that they're interested in Ben Simmons before. In the last offseason, they're not good. And Greg Popovich is old school. He's just like Doc Rivers, where he doesn't believe in the three-point line. He hates three-point shooting. So what better player to hand him over than Ben Simmons? Here you go. Here's a guy that doesn't shoot threes. You hate three-point shooting so much, Pop. Here's a guy that hates three-point shooting also. Perfect pairing. Give us DeJounte Murray. Let's move on. I would do DeJounte Murray at pause at the trade deadline for Ben Simmons if you could work that out. If the Spurs offer that at the trade deadline, I'm not waiting for Harden. I'm not waiting for Bradley Beal. I'm giving you Ben Simmons for DeJounte Murray straight up. He's 25 years old. He's a 30-point triple-double guy, threat every single night. He's a facilitator from the top of the key. He runs the pick and roll perfectly. He throws passes on the money. That might be one of the only players that I would definitely say yes to at the trade deadline. A in the chat says Murray isn't that guy. Well, his stats say different. I don't know what to tell you. He's a 30-point triple-double guy. He can't shoot. I mean, he's a threat to shoot, or else they'd be playing him like Ben Simmons. If he couldn't shoot, they'd be playing him like Ben Simmons. They'd be sitting back, going under the screen. The pick and roll would be like useless. You wouldn't be able to run a pick and roll at all if you couldn't shoot, right? Why would you play up there? Why would you go around the screen? You could just play him like Ben Simmons if you couldn't shoot. I mean, if you're looking just at his stats, I don't think he's a 45% three-point shooter, but is he in the 30s? I didn't look at it. You let me know. But I like watching him play, and I think he'd be a perfect pairing next to Joel Embiid. That's just my opinion. What we got next? This is interesting because yesterday, the day before, I said all the 31%. Exactly. I mean, 31%. That's not good, but it's not 20. It's not 0. Yesterday, I think, or the day before maybe, I said the James Harden stuff isn't true, and I said that, it's just a bunch of reports that are made up or whatever. But on the other side of things, where there's smoke, there seems to be fire, and James Harden. All right, look. Legion Hoops report, NBA executives are prepared to ask the league to look into potential tampering and collusion between James Harden and Sixers ownership group. So they're basically saying, look, we know people are talking behind the scenes, right? We know that you guys have had conversations with James Harden, which is against the rules. And James Harden didn't sign his contract. James Harden could be frustrated that Kyrie Irving's only playing in half the games. Kevin Durant's injured. He's out here again with no interior defense, no real supporting cast. The last 2 games ago, he dropped a 30-point triple-double and lost by almost 20. He might be frustrated. And they might have had conversations. So it makes me think, hey, maybe this James Harden thing is more of a possibility than I thought. And the fact that other NBA executives are prepared to ask the league to look into tampering makes me think other executives think that this could be a possibility. Maybe where there's smoke, there is fire. Maybe Daryl Morey is working on something with James Harden. I don't know. You can't stop. You couldn't stop. It would just be fines. You know what I mean? You can't stop him from going to the. If he goes to the Sixers in the offseason as a free agent, that's his right as an independent, player of the NBA. He can go wherever he wants. They can fine the Sixers for tampering. They can dock them draft picks, whatever. Do we want Harden? Jonathan, good question. I talk a lot about Harden's age. I talk a lot about the fact that James Harden isn't like some kind of fitness guru, isn't some kind of like nutrition guru. He's not going to play at an elite level till he's 40 years old like LeBron James. But if you think James Harden has 3 more years at an elite level, and you think Joel Embiid has 3 more years at an elite level, then what do? Do you go in and you say, we get this guy, we're winning a championship, or we're trying our best to win a championship in the next 3 to 5 years in the peak of Joel Embiid's prime, right? It's tough. But I'd probably say yes. Because I think as much as I've hated this James Harden style of play over the years and his flopping and baiting officials, and as much as I think he comes into every season 20 pounds overweight, I still can't deny the fact that James Harden and Joel Embiid on the same team is a favorite to come out of the East for the next 3 to 5 years. I can't argue that fact. I can't deny that fact. So no matter what I have to say about him, yes, absolutely, I would put James Harden next to Joel Embiid and try to win a championship in the next 3 to 5 years. It is what it is. The Sixers haven't won a championship since 1983. That is the ultimate goal. Apparently, there was a rumor that the Nets made an offer, but they wanted Tyrese Maxey. And the last time the Sixers were in conversations with... That's a good point, Vincent. That's a good point. Maybe he will age like Chris Paul or Kyle Lowry. Maybe he will be good until he's 38. Who knows? He plays a very... He doesn't play... he's one of those players. He has the shooting skill. The shooting skill is one of those things that can make a player last that long, right? You see Russell Westbrook is falling off a cliff right now because he could never shoot. He relied 100% on his athleticism, and once his athleticism declines and he can't beat everybody in the world off the dribble and he can't jump over every player in the NBA, he's no good. But players like Chris Paul, James Harden, players that can shoot and can facilitate and are masters in the pick and roll game can play for a lot longer as their athleticism declines because they're a threat to shoot, and they can facilitate, and they can do things, that they're not relied 100% on their athleticism. So you might be right about that. I forget what I was saying before I read that comment. But anyway, what else we got? There's a question we got to ask ourselves. Is this coming from the ownership of the 76ers? Or is because, listen, it's been said, there's been rumors over the years of the process that the ownership group has their hands in the pot, that the ownership group is making decisions. It was said before that Scott O'Neal, one of the part owners who got bought out recently, he quit and ran away because he saw the ship sinking like the Titanic. It was said that he had his hands in the Mikal Bridges trade. Him and Brett Brown together, two goofballs who don't know anything about basketball, traded Mikal Bridges because they liked Zaire Smith so much because the dude threw down a 360 dunk in a college game. So is it the ownership group that's once again having their opinion and telling Daryl Morey, hey, don't do anything. Don't do anything. Wait till the offseason. Trade Ben Simmons for a superstar. Is it? Does Daryl Morey have to listen to the ownership group? I don't know. Knowing this franchise, the way that it's been run, the whole process after Sam Hinkie stepped down, and there's a reason Sam Hinkie stepped down, is because of the ownership group and what they were doing and what the NBA was doing. But it could be the owners, and they could mess this whole thing up from the top down just like they've messed up the entire process. So maybe none of this matters because Josh Harris is still the owner of the team. But Stephen A. Smith basically said flat out that it's the ownership group. Hold on, give me 1 second here. Because I want to play this audio for those that haven't heard it. All right. Go back, man. For those that haven't heard it, here it is.
I watched this man come to Philadelphia, and in 2013, you hire some dude named Sam Hinkie and going to announce to the city of Philadelphia, we're going to lose on purpose.
Hey, it got us Joel Embiid, didn't it? Okay, thank you very much.
For 5 years, we got a process plan in place. It involved Joel Embiid.
And as much as Stephen A. Smith talked trash on the process, and we hated it at the time, and we thought, he was disgusted by the process. He thought losing on purpose was a disgrace. It was embarrassing. It was this, and that. And during the process, we all supported it. But now, 6 years later, we see the supporting cast for Joel Embiid, and we say, oh, maybe he was right. Maybe he was right. Maybe losing on purpose was disgraceful and embarrassing and wasn't really the way to go and didn't really get us very far. It got us a superstar center, didn't get us much else. But yeah, Sam Hinkie didn't have the opportunity to see it through. I completely agree with that. But somebody said, why is he screaming? I mean, have you ever heard Stephen A. Smith?
Involve Ben Simmons? Did it involve trading away your assets to get Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler? Did it involve you losing out on Jimmy Butler to Miami? Did it involve Ben Simmons all of a sudden going AWOL on the team? And by the way,
no, that wasn't the plan. That wasn't Sam Hinkie's plan. They ran him out, and that's when all of that stuff happened.
did it involve Daryl Morey being handcuffed by ownership? Because there's no way in hell.
This is the interesting part right here. He's blaming ownership over Daryl Morey.
Handcuffed by ownership because there's no way in hell anybody who knows that Daryl Morey would look at him and say, excuse me, he ain't doing anything. Daryl Morey will pull a trigger on anything because he can't stand shooters. So why? He can't stand guys that can't shoot. So why would he like Ben Simmons?
Daryl Morey would pull the trigger on anything. No, he wouldn't. That wouldn't make any sense. Anyway.
Please, this is Josh Harris holding on, telling Daryl Morey, go there and hold on to Ben Simmons for dear life or make sure you get this. I'm sorry. It's a disaster, and it reeks from the top down. Josh Harris, the owner of the Philadelphia 76ers, clean up your damn act. It's an embarrassment, and you are wasting away the greatness of Joel Embiid because he deserves better. Y'all go ahead.
I'm sorry. I know people hate Stephen A. Smith, but man, is he entertaining, man. He's mad as hell. Anyway. So what do you guys think? I mean, does it have to do with the ownership? Are we wasting our time even talking about this because nothing's really going to happen? I don't know, man. I don't know. Joel Embiid was on CNN in, I don't know, somewhere in Europe, and they were asking him about soccer, the soccer team that he roots for, something like that. I don't know much about it, but the end of this is interesting because he says a quote that I put on Instagram, by the way. I put the clip on Instagram. Be sure you're following the Instagram page at RunItBackPhilly. Also, Twitter, brand new Twitter page at RunItBackPhilly. Go follow that. Shout out to London. Shout out to anybody from the UK in the chat that knows more about this than me. But he said something interesting toward the end that is another indirect shot at Ben Simmons. I don't even think he tries it at this point. I just think, where is it at? Let me find it. It's right here. It's right around the 3:30 mark.
Compared to previous years with the Sixers.
All right, yeah, that's where she asked him.
You the most joy compared to previous years with the Sixers?
He's playing freely, not playing for free. She basically asked him, are you having more fun this season compared to previous years with the Sixers? And to me, that's like, are you enjoying playing without Ben Simmons? Because all of Australia and the whole world knows the dude's a fraud. But just listen to his answer.
He's been up and down. Obviously, it's fun to win. We've had since I've been here, we've gone through a lot. So anytime, you get the chance to win, it's always good. And it's always good to also build towards winning the whole thing. But this year has been fun. I'm playing basketball freely. It's a lot of pressure, but I don't mind. I love it. I'm actually being, really everything. And, I love it. I don't mind it. And, I'm just enjoying it. I got probably 10 more years of this, so I got to enjoy it as much as possible.
I'm playing more freely. To me, basically that means I no longer am forced to walk on eggshells or skirt around a player that refuses to shoot a basketball. I no longer have to dance around a fragile ego in the locker room. I no longer have to worry about another player on this team who is in my way. I no longer have to adapt my game to make somebody else happy because Ben's gone. I'm playing more freely. That's what I get out of it. I mean, what else would he mean by that, right? And then he says, I think I have 10 more years of this. I don't know about that, but you let me know. I don't have to play with a liability no more. Exactly. I agree with that. I agree. All right, phone number's on the screen. You can call into the show. Give me your thoughts on whatever you want to give me your thoughts on. Whatever. Ben Simmons, James Harden. Do you think it's true? Do you think Daryl Morey's wasting it? Are you on the side? Do you think there's more players available after the season's over? Do you think the Kings are actually out of the trade talks? Caller on the line. What's going on? What's going on?
Hello, DJ.
What's up, Shane?
I'm disgraced that we basically wasted JoJo's time while we're looking at, and I don't even want to get to them because I'm tired of looking at them just blow leads and just doing normal Sixer things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel you.
So I just don't want to no more because I ain't dealing with getting frustrated and yelling at my television about what they do wrong. And it's a shame because I basically want to watch Joel Embiid's prime, but I can't because we don't got enough surroundings to do so.
Do you think? I mean, okay, so if something happens at the trade deadline, does that make you a championship contender?
For me, it depends on what you get in assets. It all depends on what you get.
Right, but are you willing to give up Ben Simmons and then miss out on Bradley Beal or James Harden in the offseason?
Yeah. To me, at this point, I'm focused on getting to the championship this year. Sorry, James Harden, but you're a fat, obese man who just doesn't take care of your body in the offseason. You don't care. Your statistics look good in the regular season, but that's because you get all rocky because you don't care. You don't care about your body in the offseason. You don't even care.
Yeah. All right, Shane, thanks for the call, buddy. You got anything else for me? Oh, he hung up. He didn't even say bye. Shout out to Shane, man. He always calls in, and for those in the chat talking about him, he's 13 years old, and I love his opinions, man. He knows what the hell he's saying for a 13-year-old. I don't think he's old enough to really know that, listen, being a Sixers fan is frustrating in general. I know this is new to you, Shane, but welcome aboard, okay? Nothing good happens here. What's going on? You're on Running Back Philly.
Yo, what's happening? I think really we should be moving Ben Simmons for C.J. McCollum and Robert Covington. C.J.'s playing great basketball right now. Robert Covington can clean up on the defense. I think that's the most legitimate package, and why waste a great MVP season by Embiid, because of what you might get next season. Ben Simmons don't got the value of James Harden or Bradley Beal. He just doesn't. He just does not have that value. So it's silly to keep saying, can we trade him for this? Can we trade him for that? He doesn't have that kind of value. So I
agree.
I think Portland would very much, they need a change just as much as, we need a change. And I think CJ is, a professional scorer. And I think he's going to thrive without Damian, to be honest with you. And then Robert Covington, we know what he can do on defense.
Absolutely.
That's the move.
First thing, I don't think anybody really thinks you're getting James Harden for Ben Simmons straight up. I think everybody kind of knows it's going to have to be a package deal, which is why it's crazy to me that Daryl's asking for so much in return when really, like, you're going to have to be the one that throws in a Matisse Thybulle or a Tyrese Maxey and draft picks. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, and then
I don't think you want to give that up.
Yeah, I'm torn. I'm really torn between that. I think James Harden takes you there. I don't know if Bradley Beal really takes you there. But the Portland thing, if that was a serious offer, I'm with you on that. I just don't know if that was an actual offer. That's something that probably could, like, randomly pop up at the trade deadline. Like, boom, nobody was talking about it, but the Sixers just traded for C.J. McCollum. You know what I mean? If that was legitimate, I agree. C.J. McCollum's a professional scorer. He's a veteran. He can even run. He's a point guard, really, outside of when Damian Lillard's out. He's a point guard. He averages like 25, 9, and 7. And Robert Covington's a defender who can shoot threes, and that's, I agree with that. I would take that. I would take that deal if it's on the table. So we'll have to see. Thanks for the call, man. Rob R., thanks for supporting the channel, my guy. Where's it at? Oh, I don't have the thing up here. Oh, I got to add. Give me a second here. We got some technical difficulties as I try to put the comments on the screen. There it is. Rob R., thanks for supporting the channel. I'm worrying now, just as Billy King wasted Iverson's prime, Morey and Elton Brand are going to waste Embiid's prime. Yeah, it's sad, man. And Billy King wasted Iverson's prime. First of all, they had the opportunity, and hindsight is always 20/20, of course. But they had the opportunity to pair Allen Iverson with another superstar, and they drafted Keith Van Horn, number 2 overall in the draft, which will always haunt them in the Allen Iverson story. I don't want to see it happen. I don't want them to waste Embiid's prime, but you're absolutely right. And honestly, they almost traded Allen Iverson before that 2001 finals run. So they were actually at the point where they were like, hey, this guy's amazing. We aren't putting the players around him to win a championship. We need to sell him as high as we could. They almost traded him. You know what I mean? So thanks for that comment. What's going on? You're on Run It Back Philly.
Amazing. We aren't putting the players around to win a championship. We need to sell them as high as we could.
Can you turn your volume down in the background, please? Oh, he hung up. All right. What's going on? You're on Run It Back Philly. Hello. Do people call in and lay their phone down, or I don't know, man. If you pair these guys with Embiid, I can see them stepping up their game, knowing who they're playing with. The LeBron effect. That's a good point too, Pat. That's a good point too, man. A lot of these players, even when you look at the Kings players. They're not winning games, but you put them with Joel Embiid in the middle, it's a different animal. So, yeah, I agree with that, man. What's going on? You're on Run It Back Philly.
Hey, how's it going, brother?
How's it going?
Good, man. Doing well.
What you got for me?
What I got for you is I didn't like what Daryl Morey said last week on the Mike Missinelli show. He compared if we traded Ben Simmons now, it would be like the way that, for a package that didn't help improve the team, it would be similar to the way that the Sixers traded Charles Barkley back in '92.
Yeah,
I disagree with that, because if you look back at the team that we had when we traded Charles Barkley, it's nearly not comparable. That would be like trading Embiid, not Ben Simmons.
Exactly.
If we traded Ben Simmons, that would be like trading Hersey Hawkins.
Yep.
So I think they have to make a move. Why stand pat? Why not go for it? Put all your chips, because if you think about it, we got some young teams in the East that are up and coming that are going to get some playoff experience, like Charlotte, like Cleveland. That's going to do wonders for them going into next year. And we can't always rely on Joel Embiid's health. Why not strike the iron when it's hot and go for it? I'd have much more respect rather if Morey went for it and we failed, rather than waiting back and then maybe getting a Bradley Beal or somebody next year, and then Embiid possibly being injured and us being like Washington because we don't have our big man in the middle.
Everybody knock on wood. Everybody watching, knock on wood. But I agree with you. I agree with you. He's at an all-time high right now, and you don't know if he's ever going to have a season like this again. So,
plus, there's two things you got to consider going into the playoffs that really don't point this team going past maybe the second round, maybe even the first round, depending on the matchup we get. It's the fact that teams are then going to double Joel Embiid, and the fact that on defense we're going to have Maxey and Curry out there at the same time. Their lack of size, that's going to kill us.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Would you? So if the Nets actually offered this James Harden for Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, and 3 first-round picks or whatever it was, would you throw Maxey in there?
I'm not doing that deal. I'm sorry. You could even disclude the 3 first-round picks. I'm not doing that deal because of the fact that we're going to have to pay James Harden $60 million a year. Sorry, he's 34 years old or 33 years old. Like you said earlier, he doesn't take care of his body in off season. He'll be 20 pounds heavier coming into camp. He hasn't stayed healthy. So I'm not doing that deal. I would much rather go with a deal with Sacramento where we're getting some young players to fill some key holes.
If you really want to take advantage of Joel Embiid's MVP season,
I'd rather try to give that deal to Washington to get Bradley Beal rather than James Harden, personally.
All right, I feel you. Okay, thanks for calling, man. I appreciate it.
5 years younger. Yeah, have a great one.
Thanks for calling in, man. Later. There's no right answer here. Like I'm on both sides of it, no matter what. Like, if they offered that and you say yes, and you put James Harden on the team right now, you're a championship contender in 2022, right now. But what happens next year? What happens the year after that? But am I concerned about that? Am I concerned about that, or do I just want to win a championship right now? You give me – it's the same thing with the Philadelphia Eagles in 2017. You gave me a Super Bowl, so I'm not angry for 5 more years, even though I was a little bit angry like 2 years later. I mean, that's just me. But you give me a Sixers parade, I don't care what happens for the next 10 years. Give me a parade. What's going on? You're on Run It Back Philly.
Hey, what's going on? It's Daddy Taylor from Jersey.
What's up, man? Shout out to Jersey.
You already know. Hey, listen, real quick, what I called in for, because I really haven't heard a lot of people speaking on it. I mean, I throw it out there a time or two. Hey, I'm curious to know when the league is going to step in and try to, resolve this Ben Simmons thing. I mean, it's nice that we want to try to wait for Harden, which is, my opinion, is a pipe dream. You know what I mean? The guy's like, 34, right? And we're going to wait for this guy and hope, you know what I mean, that, we can sway him to come over. I just thought by now, between the Players Association, Players Union, or what have you, and the owners, because at the end of the day, let's keep it all the way funky. At the end of the day, these owners are sitting back there rooting for the Sixers to, wring them dry. Because, part of this is, management want to do their thing, but the other owners, too. They don't want the Sixers to give in, because if this happens now, the inmates are running the asylum. Please be clear. Yeah. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you figure the NBA needs to find a way to, mediate this. Like, I've heard people say, if this was the Lakers and LeBron, right? You get it done. We don't want these things lingering. And remember in the down years with, I think when we were struggling bad, and Hinkie was making a mockery of the league, and the league had to step in, right?
Yeah.
They had to step in and put in Colangelo, right, to oversee it. So I'm just wondering, when is this going to happen? At some point in time, you got to put it into it, because at the end of the day, we can say that he's wasting Embiid's, better years, but at the same time, let's be realistic. You got a position, you're only, 2 games out of first? I mean, this team right now, let's be clear. Let's be absolutely clear. I always got my sayings for you when I call in. I mean, I watch the Sixers and they fight hard, right, against the better teams. But let's be clear, man, being this gaping hole in the roster, we're like a one-legged man in an ass kicking contest. We really can't win. You understand what I'm saying? So we put up a good fight, but at the end of the day, you know what I mean, we already know what it's going to be like when we go up against Milwaukee and things of that nature.
Yeah,
you understand?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say about our record right now being 2.5 games out. But when you think about Miami, Chicago, Milwaukee, we can beat up on Boston, Toronto, Washington, Atlanta, New York, Indiana, Detroit, Orlando. But does it actually matter? Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why you look around the league and you be like, there's a lot of bad teams that you could just bottom feed off of and get your wins up. It look like something, you know what I mean? Uh-huh. So you're absolutely right in that regard. But like I said, I would prefer some type of shooting, because when you go up against Milwaukee, I don't know what Toronto's playoff run is looking like, but certain teams they're gonna hit you with the zone. I know the Hornets gonna hit you with a zone again. You know what I mean? And right now, that's your Achilles heel right now.
All these teams are going to hit the zone. Miami, Chicago, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Charlotte.
Yeah, they're going to zone you up.
Yep.
They're going to zone you up. So at some point in time, we got to try to, solve this riddle in regards to what we're going to do with Ben Simmons, but I really think a good portion of it is, in my humble opinion, is that management, you know what I mean, not just Sixers, man, but other owners are like, you better not. Because you got to know they're waiting for this next election CBA agreement to come up. Because, they're going to change everything. These five-year, $200 million contracts now going to be like 2- and 3-year deals. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, I remember they said when Ben Simmons comes in the league, he's going to change the league. Yeah, he will. He's going to change it in the bad because it's going to mess all these other players' money up.
So, hey,
you know
he lived
what I mean?
up to the hype. He's changing the league.
Yeah, he's changing everything. The landscape of the NBA will not be the same because this guy is scared to put his big boy drawers on and get out there and face the media. And my last point, I swear I got to go. What I find disturbing through all this Ben Simmons, yada, 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 because I remember this one show, I think you were up, and he was supposed to do the press conference.
Oh, yeah.
And he was probably supposed to sit there in front of the media, and they had like 4,500 people waiting for this clown, right? And then all of a sudden, it's like 5 minutes later, and it's like 5 after 12, and it's like, oh, what's going on? It's a delay, da-da-da. And then next thing you know, oh, it's canceled, and that's when he got purposely thrown out of, you know what I mean? Yeah. I think had he faced the music, you know what I mean? Like so many other people just face the music, I got to do better. You know what I mean? Whether it's guy getting caught with steroids, drunk, whatever, they stand there and they take it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Had he stood there and he took it rather than run, I think the city and the Sixer fans all over they would look at him with not so much disdain, but I look at you look at them and you be like, yo, dude, what type of coward are you? This ain't got nothing to do with basketball at all. It's about, you know what I mean? You can't put no mental or on the fact that, pardon my French, you're a bitch. You know what I mean? You straight bitched up and that ain't had nothing to do with no mental whatever. Face the music. You got exposed as a fraud. We see through you. And Rich Paul, quite frankly, if I'm Rich Paul at some point in time, I may want to get rid of you as a client. Because, real talk, because, I know they told this man to work on this game. And now I got to go and reshape. I got to rearrange everything we do here to protect the fact that you've been exposed and you don't want to go back to the city. Hey, man, I ain't going to keep you. Always a blast talking. Yo, you be safe and keep doing what you're doing.
All right, bro. Appreciate the call. What a guy. Shout out to Jersey. The first thing is, how can the NBA step in? You know what I mean? Like, we're sitting around saying, how can the NBA let this continue and how can the NBA not step in or whatever? What more can they do? The guy signed a contract. He's refusing to play. I mean, if I sign a contract to do a job, they can't arrest me. All they can do is say, hey, you're not getting the money that we agreed to pay you for doing this job. So he's already taken that. He's been fined over $9 million. If the Sixers agree to keep paying him because he pulled out the mental health card and he knows and they know that that's something the Sixers can't do anything about, then that's a different story. But you can't – what more can they do? The NBA could step in and tell the Sixers, hey, if you're paying this guy, you need to stop paying him because he's not performing. He's not doing what he signed on to do, and this is bad for the league. This is bad for contracts in the future. This is bad for everything. Eric, they can sue him. You're right. They could sue him eventually and make him, I guess, pay back any money that he was paid while he was refusing to come back to the team. But, like, right now, it's not like the NBA can step in and say, Ben, you have to play, get on the court. He could still say, no, I'm not doing it, like he's saying right now. So, I don't know what the NBA could actually do stepping in, but, that's just me. I don't know. So looking at the standings, man, like I said, like you can beat up on Orlando, Detroit, Indiana, New York, Atlanta, Washington, Toronto, Boston. Charlotte is no joke right now. Charlotte, I mean, they were beating up on the Lakers last night. The Lakers made a little bit of a comeback. Russell Westbrook missed the potential game-winning shot because why would he make that? But the Charlotte Hornets are no joke right now. A lot of athleticism, a lot of shooters and ball handlers around. They're pretty much a center away from being a serious contender. The Charlotte Hornets could jump you for the 6th spot as far as I'm concerned. And, can you beat Milwaukee, Cleveland, Chicago, Miami? Seriously. Like, yeah, we're only 2.5 games out of first place, but what does that actually mean? Do you have a chance at beating anybody the top teams in the playoffs. I don't think you do right now. What's going on? You're on Run It Back Philly. Kane Scott, and the Hornets have an elite player in Ish Smith. Yes. Yes, they do. Can we get some Ish Smith praise right now? I've loved this guy ever since he played for the Sixers on the first stint when he was just throwing alley-oops to Nerlens Noel when the Sixers would lose every game by 40 when they went 10-72. I loved Ish Smith. He personally gave me entertainment in a time where there was nothing entertaining to watch as far as Philadelphia basketball. He gets released. The Sixers realize they made a mistake. They trade 2 second-round draft picks to bring him back on the team. Then he goes to other teams, but every single team this dude is on, he's knifing through the defense. He's hitting mid-ranges. He's hitting threes. He's throwing no-look alley-oops to everybody. Ish Smith is the most underrated point guard I've ever seen. Seriously. He is the prototype. He's the perfect backup point guard for any NBA team in the league. And that's probably why he's pushed around, because he's not a high-level scorer. He's inconsistent, whatever else. He's a role player, but Ish Smith has been underrated his whole career. And last night with the Hornets, when I was watching it, he had 18 points. I don't know what he finished with, but he was everywhere in that game. And it's like, of course the Hornets have Ish Smith. Why wouldn't they? They have Terry Rozier. They have LaMelo Ball. They have so many ball-handling guards that can make plays. And the Sixers have Joel Embiid, a 21-year-old point guard, and who else out there is really a playmaker? Shake Milton's still injured because of Andre Drummond's big, clumsy knee hitting him in the back. What's going on? Philly Mike, what's up?
You.
What's going on, man?
Hello?
Hello.
What's going on, DJ?
What's up, bro?
Philly Mike here. Just on my way home in the snow. And flipped on YouTube, saw you were live. Ben Simmons doing it to us again.
Nice, man. Yeah, well, the Kings apparently pulled out of the sweepstakes, so the Kings thing isn't on the table anymore.
Exactly. I don't really think they pulled out necessarily. I think it was more like, if they pulled out, but I think it's because Daryl Morey's like, them three not going to get it done. It's not a needle, and they were like, then we out. You know what I mean? We take our business and go elsewhere, because they're still in trade talks trying to shuffle up that roster as well. Who knows, maybe Daryl Morey just pulls trigger, but he's been adamant about, if it doesn't move my needle, I'm not doing it. I'm not trying to get from the 6th to the 4th to get out in the second round again but look better. And I understand, but I don't, because Joel Embiid is Joel Embiid. You know what I mean? And this roster is this roster.
Yeah. Which side are you on here? Are you on the waiting until the offseason side, or are you on the taking the best trade at the deadline?
I'm kind of in the middle because of what Joel Embiid can do. And you saw teams like the Bucks, right? Middleton is still a little bit better than anything we got other than Embiid. But when you look at what Embiid could do, elevating Curry wasn't this Curry before he came to the Sixers. So Buddy Hield being him, does he get an increase in his style of play, in his game? All these guys would, playing with Joel Embiid, and it has much needed depth off our bench. So I think, we could compete. Will we win it, or will we get to where we want to be? I'm not sure, because the Nets are still prime, the Bulls, the Bucks, the Heat. But this is my biggest thing. I'm really like 60-40, do a trade now, but 40% says hold off, because if you can get a Harden or get something better, get, Jaylen Brown, Dame Lillard, Bradley Beal, Harden. They're the only type of players that are going to move the needle for Morey. And if a Celtics flame out, if a Wizards continue to flame out, it might not even be in Dame's decision no more. The organization might say, hey, we're playing better without Dame. We need to rebuild anyways. I'm going to make the decision for a loyal Dame Lillard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get the best thing, which probably
I said
the
that a
Sixers
lot.
have.
Yeah, I said that a lot. Yeah, they might decide to sell high no matter what Dame thinks.
Exactly, because Dame's not going to opt out just who he is, his character. Or he's not going to leave Portland, but it might not be his decision no more. And so if that happens, yeah, you waste an MVP-type season, but I think Joel's shown that he's getting in better shape and might be able to do it longer than what we think at this level. At the end of the day, my thing is this. If Daryl Morey waits to the offseason and then he takes a deal equivalent to the Kings, then I'm going to say, bro, what'd you do? What are you doing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like if he doesn't go past the deadline, it's now his credibility is going to be gone if he does settle in the offseason, because the offseason will be the end of the straw, and I could see it going bad because Ben Simmons is Ben Simmons. People are going to even get more irritable at the situation, and it's rough. It's just a horrible situation.
Part of me still can't picture him playing basketball again. And now you got Shaq blasting him on national TV. This guy has NBA legends literally hate his guts. This guy has, he's being bashed by everybody in the entire sports universe. He's done something that nobody's ever done as far as a player who hasn't accomplished anything and isn't a superstar refusing to come back to a team. It's crazy. And it's like, I can't even picture him actually putting on a jersey and, Ben Simmons is playing. It sounds weird to me.
I agree. You couldn't have said it any better. And the crazy thing is, people want to bring up what Harden and AD did at times. They only had a year or two left on their contract. Nobody signs this type of contract. And then a year and a half later, it's like, nah. 2 years, it's too freshly into it. It's like, it's just never been done before. And no matter what GMs say, we believe in the potential of Ben Simmons, they're thinking he can hit the switch off on us too. I mean, he's all about Instagram and Call of Duty. I'm with you in the sense of, Harden might come to Philly not because we traded Ben Simmons, but because he opts out, and we might just be able to get him, or a trade and sign just because the Nets got nothing to lose at that point. You know what I mean? But I don't really know I don't know how any team's going to be like, Ben Simmons is who we want to build around. Look at high character guy.
Yeah, for sure, bro. Thanks for your insight, man. I appreciate it.
You already know. Peace.
Later, bro. Shout out to Philly Mike. Philly Talk Podcast. Subscribe to him on YouTube. He does play-by-play of Sixers games, does amazing coverage of the Philadelphia Eagles and Sixers. I might try to get Philly Mike to join me for some post-game lives sometime, too. What's going on? You're on Run It Back Philly.
What's up, man?
How's it going?
Hey, so I don't understand all this James Harden slander or whatever you guys want to call it. He's only 32 and he's turning 33, so I understand he is getting up there in age, but he leads the league in assists, and that's a 10 times better Ben Simmons if you ask me. And he's actually going to stretch the floor, and it will be the best two-man game in basketball. I don't see why nobody sees that.
Yeah, I think the slander is just that looking towards the future. But if you're deciding what's the best chance to win a championship right now with Joel Embiid in his prime, I don't think anybody can really argue that James Harden isn't that perfect fit. There's people that will, but that's just people.
Give me 3 good years of Harden, bro, and I'm good with that. Literally,
Yeah, I agree. No matter what I say about him, I can't disagree with that. I have to agree. You're in a championship window if you put James Harden next to Joel Embiid for 3 years. I agree.
Dude, it would be the best thing that we've seen in the last, 10 years? Come on. And get Ben Simmons out of there, please.
Do you think he really wants out of Brooklyn? Do you think where there's smoke, there's fire? Do you think he's really frustrated with the Kyrie Irving thing or whatever else?
I 100% think he is because he wants to win. Kyrie and KD, they have a ring. So if you really want to think about it like that, they're chilling. They're cool. Harden, I think he wants to still compete. And, Embiid doesn't have a ring. And you put 2 guys that want to win, and I think you can do it.
And would Brooklyn be interested in Ben Simmons?
No. I think they have zero interest in Ben Simmons. It has to be a 3-team deal. You know what I mean? Send him to Sacramento, give Brooklyn, Halliburton, maybe Heald, something like that. Multiple first-round picks.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, thanks for the call, man.
100%. All right, thank you, bro.
Yep, later. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Thanks for coming through. Thanks for hanging out on Sixers Saturday. Had to get some stuff off my chest. There's the most recent stats of DeJounte Murray. Again, outside of a James Harden trade, outside of a James Harden free agent signing in the offseason, outside of Bradley Beal asking the Wizards, whatever, I think at the deadline, if you're not getting a big-name superstar, this right here is the best you can do if the San Antonio Spurs are down. It might be my sleeper pick for something to pop up a Woj bomb right before the trade deadline. Boom. The Sixers' massive 3-team trade or whatever, landing Ben Simmons in San Antonio, DeJounte Murray here. Maybe Tobias Harris ends up somewhere else. Maybe picks go to 3 or 4 different teams. I don't know. Worldwide West, what's up, man? But DeJounte Murray, man. And somebody in the chat said he's not that guy. I don't know. I don't think you've been watching this dude play for the past couple of games. He's a 30-point triple-double player at 25 years old who's a willing shooter. 31% from 3, I got you. But he's a willing shooter. And he looks like that in San Antonio with who on the roster? Like my guy Philly Mike said, what would some of these players look like with Joel Embiid in the paint, commanding double and triple teams? It would take players like this to the next level, and he's already a 30-point triple-double guy. That's just me. I'll take one more call, man. Oh, never mind. He hung up. All right, guys, thanks for coming through. Hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel. Only 50% of the people that watch these are subscribed. What did I do to you, man? Hit the subscribe button. Consider becoming a member. Shout out to the most recent member, A. Interesting name, A. Shout out to everybody that donates to the channel. Shout out to Alex C. once again. And you guys have a great Saturday, man.